Congratulations. Closing day. We're so excited.
We're very close.
Very close. We're almost there. Thank you again for working with us. Let's go over what's going to happen on this closing day. What's the difference between closing, funding, and recording?
Okay, 3 different things. And they happen hopefully all on the same day or the day before. So closing is when you physically go to the title company and you sign the documents, get them notarized. Sometimes you're not able to be physically there, so that's when they're emailed to you and you print them out and you get them notarized and signed and FedExed or UPS'd or overnighted back to the title company for them to have. That's closing. Funding is when the lender or the title company reviews all those papers and they actually give the approval saying everything looks good. They basically review them and say everything's in order. We allow this deal to be funded. And so money is then kind of set out to be dispersed, and money's received if it's a lender, and the money is approved to be dispersed. And once that happens, there's this one little piece of paper, the most important piece, and that's the deed that's been signed. And then they take that to the county, and the county then puts their stamp saying this is recorded, changing the ownership from the seller to the buyer. And that is the most important part of the whole transaction. Once you close, it doesn't mean anything. Once you fund, it doesn't mean anything. But once this is recorded at the courthouse, it is no longer your property and the buyer owns the property. And hopefully the property is empty because it's not your property anymore.
Who needs to attend this closing? Who has to be there?
Well, it's anybody who is an owner of the property. If you have a legal interest, if you're married and you didn't buy it married, your spouse still has legal interest in that property and they're going to have to sign to release their interest. So anybody who is on the property or not on the property and you're married, they still have to sign their interest away.
How long will this closing take? How much time do I need to plan for?
So when you go to the title company or you have a notary sign in front of a notary, there's usually only about 10 to 12 documents. And so it can take, depending on what kind of questions you have at closing, it can take 10 minutes or it can take about an hour. So I would plan an hour and make sure that you're
20
not
or 30
rushed.
minutes for the most part. Yeah.
So who schedules that time? Do I get to pick that? Who schedules that?
Yeah, your transaction coordinator will call with the clear to close, right? And they will schedule with you the time to go to the title company and sign or make the arrangements if you're not going there.
And typically it's done the week of closing.
Yeah.
It's usually not something we can set up 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time because when we do that, it always changes. So basically it's just real close to the finish line. We're going to call and set that up.
Will anybody be there with me to help me?
Yeah. Our agent, the listing agent, is going to be there. And if it's not possible for him to be there, someone from our office will be there just to help you with any questions and to make sure you feel comfortable. And everybody's reviewed this beforehand. And so we're going to be there just mainly for you.
What do I need to bring?
Well, the first thing you're going to need is a photo ID. They're going to notarize your signature. They got to make sure you're actually the person you say you are. The other thing, any garage doors, any spare keys that you have, those types of things that you want to leave at the title company for the new owner to take care of.
Another thing to bring is make sure you have your bank account information.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Because they're going to either have a check ready for you at closing, or you need to have bank account information. And if you're a local and you have a local bank, they'll actually go deposit that in your account.
That's the fun of funding.
When and where do I get my funds once we've funded and recorded?
Yeah, remember to take your instructions to the title company with you. They're going to ask you, do you want to have the funds deposited into a bank account, wired to an account, or a bag full of cash? It's up to you.
Oh, I like that.
And maybe you're buying another home on that same day, and maybe it's in a different state or a different city. You need the instructions beforehand to make sure the title company knows who they need to reach out to in the other area so that they can arrange those funds to be wired to our location and then immediately set for you to purchase the property in your other place.
That's right.
And it's amazing how that can be done in the same day. We can close, sometimes there's this chain of reaction. You can close 7 properties all in one day.
What if I need to bring funds to closing? What do I need to know about that?
Yeah, they're going to require your funds that you bring in closing be certified, and so you're going to need to have a good conversation with the transaction coordinator if that is applicable to your situation.
And a cashier's check is going to be best. And that number is going to change throughout the transaction. That's why we wait for that final settlement statement that hopefully we can get to you a day or two before, but sometimes it might just be that morning, and we'll get you that number as quick as we can. That is one of the most pressing things on our mind at that point, is to get you final numbers as soon as possible.
When will I know it's all done and I no longer own that house?
Well, as soon as the county gets that recorded, the title company is going to know, and they're going to call us as soon as possible. And whoever can contact you the quickest is going to, whether it's a transaction coordinator or your listing agent, they're going to contact you and let you know, congratulations, thank you, it's all done. And it is a great
Here's your
phone
bag
call.
of money. So what about utilities? When do I change those utilities out of my name?
Great question. Basically, you want to have the utilities set to continue to stay on until the day of closing.
Can they be canceled that day, or do I need to wait till the next
Well,
day?
here's the thing, is we don't even want that word to hopefully be used, because if you cancel them, the new buyer has to actually pay a setup fee to do that. So the buyer, we want to have them set up for that day and you to turn off that day, so it's a seamless thing so that the buyer doesn't have to have the added fee. Sometimes people think, oh, well, I'm not in the house anymore, let me just turn everything off. But really, that's going to add some additional expense to the buyer, because then they have to turn them all back on. They have to set appointments for them to go there and turn stuff on sometimes, and it's additional fee and expense. We just want it to be seamless, and it's a very courteous thing just to make sure you don't turn off utilities until the day of closing, and then it can be switched and never turned off.
And if they go off too early and the buyer wants to do their final walkthrough and there's no power, it can throw a wrench in the entire process. So
And
keep them on.
And if you turn off the gas or the heat beforehand, you might have a flooded house. I mean,
right.
it could, it's just things that you don't think of. Well, reality is going to hit, and you don't want some of these bad things to happen. So really, just keep your utilities on until the day of closing.
Do I need to clean my house when I move out?
Yeah, well, we recommend that you do whatever you can to have the home the way you would want it if you were to buy it. Mm-hmm. And that's different for everybody, right? But most people are expecting the home to be clean, to be vacuumed,
Wipe down,
to be wiped
countertops,
down.
fridge, the
Yep.
microwave. When you get your things out, clean up, wipe down how you would like to find it.
When do I have to be out of that house?
Well, just like Chad's saying, the minute that records, you don't own it anymore. So you better have planned out your move based on when you think it's going to record, which is can be a moving date. So plan as far ahead as you can, and we will keep you in the know as much as we do the entire time. But when that thing records, you have to be out.
And if you still have stuff in there, or if you're still in the property, it's not your property anymore.
Yeah.
So you're actually now with your possessions, and you're in another home that's not yours. Yeah. And so again, we said in a previous smart message that you want to, it's typically easiest if you can be out the day before closing, and then you have that day to kind of do those final cleaning things. Yeah. That's how people have the smoothest transaction. When people kind of wait till that day of, it's usually pretty stressful and overwhelming. It's more than it needs to be.
So who will help me through that process? Who do I ask questions to?
Well, the transaction coordinator is always your first and quickest point of contact, and that's who we'd recommend you reach out to first.
Excellent. If you've enjoyed the smart messages we've sent, and you have any friends and family that you can introduce us to, we'd love to help them.
At the end of this transaction at closing, we're going to double check with you and make sure that we fulfilled our promise to you of being able to have this be a smooth and easy transaction as much as we can possibly do. In return, we want you to think of us and refer to us and introduce to us the people that are in the process or needing to buy or needing to sell, so we can help them just like we've helped you.